Hello all and welcome back to Prog Month. I'm your host, David K. Pretty nice, huh? And this week we have Yes, and they have by far the biggest discography in this lineup. Clocking in at 21 albums, plus some EPs. I'll only be looking at the main releases. And also I've combined both Keys to Ascensions because they're really similar and close together. That's why this video is the 20 Yes albums. I just figured it's just easier rather than counting like two EPs separately. I'll put them together. It's like an album. Fuck it. Whatever. It's fine. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into this mammoth. At number 20, we have what I'm assuming is the last release, Heaven and Earth. Honestly, this album is pretty boring. The only track that's somewhat interesting is Subway Halls, which seems to be the main consensus among the fans. Shame that the band has to go out on something so weak, but who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we'll see another album someday. Up next, we have Open Your Eyes. Man, these jokes are on fire, huh? This one, again, has no really tracks that stand out. It's just really forgettable. Now, that doesn't mean it's bad or anything. I mean, it's just whatever, you know? Heaven and Earth had one song I liked on it, but, everything else pretty much just dragged it down below this album. Because, frankly, I would much rather listen to Open Your Eyes a million times before I listen to Heaven and Earth again. So Big Generator is actually quite a bit of a step up. The title track was really surprising because the guitars were tuned super low, and I've never heard them do anything like that, so it definitely gets bonus points for being unique. Almost Like Love is a higher tempo track than other songs, which I very much appreciate. The last half of the album is pretty whatever except I'm Running, which is really the only song that kind of goes outside the box. Besides a few moments though, this album is again pretty uninteresting. And now we have their debut album, Yes. There's a lot of soft stuff on this album, and it's just kind of another average debut. However, I really, really liked I See You. That was some jazzy goodness. Now, imagine my disappointment when I found out that that was just a cover. Still, though, I'll take that song. I'll take just that song, despite it being only a cover, over all of the albums below this one. Fly From Here is tough because I actually think the title track is really damn good, part 5 especially, but the middle of the album is just pretty boring. Solitaire and Into the Storm are decent tracks too, but my main problem with this album is the new singer at the time. He just sounds like he's trying to imitate John Anderson, and while he does a decent job at it, it just makes you wish it was just John himself. Side note, on the From the Page EP, I thought those songs were so much better than the entire middle section of Fly From Here that I think if they removed that entire middle chunk out and just stuffed that EP in there, this album probably would have been a lot higher in this list. And yet another side note, I don't understand why bands keep splitting their epic songs into parts. If I want to listen to Fly From Here, or The Messiah Complex, or Singularity, I'm going to listen to the entire thing. I've never been oh, I want to listen to part 4 of this song specifically. 2112, Close to the Edge, Gates of Delirium, those songs don't do it, so why the hell does Fly From Here do it? Especially when I have my iPod on shuffle and one of the parts comes on, it's okay, well, now I gotta go back out and go find the album, play the whole thing, and go back to shuffle, because somebody wanted to split up their 20-minute song into 7 parts. Keep it as one piece, that's all I'm saying. The latter again picks up some momentum with tracks like Lightning Strikes being funky as hell, Face to Face having a sick-ass bass line, and the build-up in New Language. It's an okay record overall, but there are some good moments on it. Ah yes, the album that brought them all their fame. 90125 opens with Owner of a Lonely Heart, and while it's a decent song, The thing that really cements it for me is that bass line in the bridge. I know it's kind of a no-duh when people talk about Chris Squire, but it's true, man. The dude wrote some great bass lines, and this is one of my favorites. Other than that, though, the beginning of Leave It with the vocal thing was cool. Changes is also pretty good. Still a lot of forgettable stuff, but those songs are pretty good. So the coolest part about Union is the story behind it. Two incarnations of Yes coming together to create like Super Yes. It's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, the album I don't think is as amazing as it probably could have been, but still pretty solid. Shock to the System is a great song. Saving My Heart has a cool rhythm going on in it, and it just has a good variety. You got some rockin' stuff, and then you have some whimsical stuff like Anger What, whatever the hell that was. Time and a Word starts with Chris shredding the shit out of it, and again, it's another goddamn cover. All the best ones are apparently. Then is pretty good. It starts out clean and then it escalates nicely before mellowing out again. Clear Day has a major buzzkill in it when it fades out as soon as the strings come in, because I love me some strings. And I think Astral Traveler is probably the main focal point of the album. But yeah, pretty solid stuff. The end of an era. Magnification is our goodbye to John and Yes, and it's a pretty good final outing. Spirits of Survival is more rockin', and I love the orchestral hits in it. Dreamtime is the easy highlight with the epic-ass intro. Really groovy with the sitar, I think it is, going on throughout pretty much the whole song. A decent album, but those two songs are sick. Alright y'all, halfway there. We start the top 10 with Fragile. Roundabout is like the ultimate song. Everybody loves Roundabout. And if you don't, you got problems, man. And the last song slaps pretty hard too, but not a lot in the middle. Most of them are just pretty short interludes. I'd say this album is like the Fear of the Dark of Yes's discography, where it's bookended by two great songs, but not a lot in the middle. Going for the One has a few songs I really like. The opening track is a really good road trip song. I heard it again recently while driving, and it just made it so much better. Parallels is a great upbeat song. Awaken, I'd say, was my favorite. It's a decent record, just not on the same level as the albums that came before it. So Talk, to be honest, my favorite thing about this album is the snare. I love how it sounds so much. It has just such a good punch. Like every time I heard it, I was like, oh damn. Man, I wish this snare was on every album ever. The Calling was a pretty decent opening track. Real Love has some good moments. State of Play. And then you have Endless Dream, I thought was also really cool. Again, like my point before, I don't think it was necessary to split up the intro from the rest though. But in any case, as a package, Endless Dream was pretty awesome. So to be honest, I'm pretty conflicted about Tales from Topographical Oceans. On one hand, the material on it is great. But on the other hand, every single criticism that prog rock has is here on this album. I mean, good lord, it's just 4 20-minute songs. It's a little overblown, but like I said, the songs on it are good. It just isn't one I'd revisit often, just because it's such a commitment to go through this album. It's like, goddamn, bro. With Drama, we get into the really good Yes albums, where these albums are damn near masterpieces. The whole record kind of slaps, except for Run Through the Light. That one's pretty but everything else is super rockin'. Now, this singer sounds pretty much the same as John, but, like, not without that charisma, you know, that John has. Like, dude, John Anderson has got to be the most huggable man of all time. Like, he's such a sweetheart. I just want to tell him that You just hear his voice, and it just brings you so much joy. And then you hear anyone else sing it for this band, it's like, oh man, this just give me my boy John. I love this man. But anyway, the album's great. It's just that one song plus no John that brings this album down above the other four. But it's a good ass album. Here we go, baby. Top 5 time. Kicking it off is the Yes album. Wow, yeah, actually, I own the Yes album. I actually own 2 Yes albums. This is one of them. The Yes album is one of the Yes albums that I own. Now, I gotta be honest, I totally forgot to write my notes about this album. And, but I did have it at number 5. But honestly, I don't remember the songs all too well, but it is number 5. I mean, obviously, you have Yours No Disgrace. I've Seen All Good People. Iconic Yes songs. Starship Trooper, I think I really like too. But, yeah, shit. I don't remember anything else about this album, so sorry. Up next, we have Tomato. No, wait, that ain't right. Tormato, that's what it is. So Release has a really smooth transition into a live track, and then it goes back into a studio. Really cool production on that song. Arriving UFO was a pretty outgoing song, and if you couldn't tell, those are kind of my favorites. Onward, I'm sorry, I can't take seriously with the Through the Night lyric. There's about 4 of you that are going to know why, and to the rest of you, let's just say it was a pretty big joke about a band I was in. Anyway, the bass carries the hell out of the last track, and it's a pretty short record, but really engaging all throughout. So, our double feature. Keys to Ascension surprised me because it was pretty late in their career, but it was still absolutely incredible. The first one's great. I especially love the opening. It just reminds me of that old Yes style, and they were 30 years deep. And I mean, it was classic Yes, with Wakeman and Howe returning to the band. All that was missing was Bill Bruford. Now, Alan White, don't get me wrong, the dude's a great player. I mean, he's been the main drummer for like over half their career. The dude absolutely kills it, but fuck, dude, it's Bill Bruford, dude. The dude was on a whole nother level. I think my favorite track was probably Mind Drive. It just rips through the whole song. Footprints is pretty funky, and Sign Language reminds me of the Bejeweled music, and as you might know, that is my shit. Absolutely badass album. Shit, dude. What really needs to be said about Close to the Edge? The other album I actually own. I mean, the title track is just phenomenal. Love how catchy that chorus gets. The other tracks are great too, but this is just a Prog classic. I mean, I thought this was my favorite for a while until I heard another album. And that album is, of course, Relayer, man. Gates of Delirium. The entire middle section is probably the best I have ever heard from Yes. The ending of the song very much reminds me of Pink Floyd, mostly with the guitars. Be Over is a great ending too. It's very similar to Close to the Edge. They're both structured the exact same way. I think Relayer is just a little superior just because it has more of a rocking vibe throughout it. So yeah, I need to buy this album because for me, it is my favorite Yes album. So there you have it. That's the largest list I have done so far. So until very soon, we got one more that's going to top this one. I don't think I'm ever going to have a list as many as this besides Devin. He's going to be the biggest. That's it. We're not doing these major discographies anymore. But 1 week left. One band left, and all I have to say left is bow to the king. Bow to the king, bro. Because it's happening soon.